Welcome back to Scarring Your Childhood with Scary Shit in Video Games for Children,
Yeah.
in quotation marks.
Wow.
Because you reminded me of
This is how
Move
you
Over
remind me.
Redeads. Can I remind you of Dead Hand?
I said Dead Hand.
I did not hear you.
What about
This is fine. This is- we're okay.
Wallmaster?
The Wallmasters in Ocarina of Time scared the fuck out of me. Actually,
Yes.
to go on my
They
topic
were
before
okay.
about the fear of the unknown, in the Forest Temple,
Yeah.
you walk into a room and Navi stops you and says, just letting you know, be careful of monsters that hang from the ceiling. They'll fucking grab you. And you're like, what? And you look up and you don't see anything. You're like, what the hell? And if you stand still for too long, you see a shadow below you slowly get bigger.
Yeah.
And if you stay in that room too long, a Wallmaster will grab you. Which, when you see it, it's not that scary. But as a kid, again, I didn't know what the fuck it was. I just saw the shadow getting bigger. I'm like, and I'd run out of there. And I didn't see it for a few years, actually. Didn't know what it was. But yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, as a kid, or rather, those old games where they're not all fully modeled, or at least like a lot has to be left to your imagination. It's just like way more scary because you got to fill in the gaps. Dead Hand's still just a generally scary concept. The whole Shadow Temple and Bottom of the Well was because I really didn't understand it as a kid. I'm like, why is this place underneath Kakariko?
Oh, apparently we can get something from the back room.
Nice.
Oh, I've heard about these all the time. You know, you just you hug the wall too much and you just end up no clipping into these. This doesn't look as bad as people say.
Yeah.
I remember there being
Actually, you
cars,
know, that's a great tangent. The Backrooms. We've never talked about that before, have we? That's the
Probably
new
not.
horror thing. Frank, how much do you know about the Backrooms?
I know a little bit about the Backrooms.
I wanna know your opinion.
The details on most of it.
Do you think that the concept is scarier with or without monsters?
I think in general, it's probably scarier with monsters.
Disagree.
If
I thought the whole appeal and the scariness came from there nothing being there and you're just lost forever. That's scarier to me than being chased by a fucking minotaur in a maze, if you ask me.
So, is it a tiny minotaur?
Mini minotaur? Yeah. Do you know what the Backrooms are, Mabini?
The what?
The Backrooms.
No.
So it started with an image online, this one on screen, of a office space that is not decorated with any tables or chairs or anything like that. It's just walls, carpet, and no windows, and just like a faint kind of orange light coming through. Very, very static, very droll. And it almost kind of gave the impression of this infinite lost kind of office space. And it was referred to as the quote-unquote Backrooms. And that image was it had such an interesting, aura and effect on people that, it started coming a bit of a bigger phenomenon. So people would make their own Backrooms images. And then they'd start making these videos that's like this fake found footage of someone walking through it. And it's become this idea that it's this man-made looking structure that's just kind of infinite. Just like hallways and corridors and big empty spaces. There's never any furnishing. It's just walls and carpeted floors, and it's just kind of a claustrophobic space. There's no doors or windows. There's no way out. And you get there seemingly through, I don't know, like being lost after work one day or clipping through a wall, as Frank said. And it's become this new kind of scary thing. But then people have started making versions of it where it's like lost in the back rooms, but there's a scary monster and he's chasing you. And I'm like,
That ruins it.
yeah, I would say so.
not
I
even
think
the version where it's actively chasing you. It's just that the fact that there is another entity in the room is, to me, a little more worse than, I'm just lost.
Okay, I will give you that. I think what is scarier than the entity is not knowing there is one, but feeling like there might be.
That's different. Yeah,
probably
that's
the
also pretty
scariest.
bad.
Anyway, so it's become a big thing. There's been games made out of it, mods and stuff. I've seen some pretty good videos of like people like creating things that look pretty realistic. I've seen like the pool rooms, where it's like you keep going in the back rooms, eventually you come into these weird giant pool room areas. That was pretty cool. I don't watch a lot of videos, but it's kind of weirdly reminding me of Slender Man. Allow me to explain. Slender Man used to be a fairly like small, kind of obscure, not very well known kind of internet, SCP like thing. It wasn't an SCP, but it was like like a creepypasta. And there was very few people who knew about it. Not to brag or anything, but I was one of those people. And just this idea of this tall, creepy man that watches you and like having these weird photographs of this character was very, very scary. But then more people started to see Slender Man, and it got more and more popular, and people started making games, and now there's a movie, and it's just kind of lost all appeal, and now everyone kind of thinks Slender Man's sort of a joke. And I'm sort of seeing that happen with the Backrooms, admittedly. I don't know. I think it was a bit more interesting before it became a massive thing. I saw a video the other day that was like made 3 days ago and it already had like 1 million views. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like if there's so many eyes on it, it just feels less scary and less impactful in a way. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I get you.
I think it's scarier if it's like an almost private experience. I don't know. I find horror in media very interesting, I guess. So I just find this thing intriguing. So these days, I don't think Slender Man, I don't think about him at all. I think it's just that whole idea is just kind of done. By the time the movie came out, no one gave a shit. And while I find the Backrooms kind of interesting now, I don't know. Some of them I just don't care for. Sorry I'm such a snob about literal empty rooms, by the way.
Yeah, definitely. You absolute garbage, man.
The only ones I've seen that I like where there's a monster in it is when it's a literal shitpost. I saw one where there was a twerking Yoda, and it killed the man by running at him real fast. That was pretty good. Brandon Rogers also made a parody video, but he's just entertaining on his own right. He didn't need to do that, but whatever. But yeah, my favorite ones are just the ones where it's like a video just walking around a big empty space, and it's kind of creepy atmosphere, and you can kind of hear like the hum of like lights and stuff.
That's what was creepy. That's what was scary about Portal.
Yeah.
Is that like you were just going around doing these puzzles and you didn't really know what was going on.
Well, I'll tell you something because I played it again recently. The Rat Man, the man who makes all the little cubby holes.
Yeah.
In the first game, when we didn't know anything about him, there was something so scary about the idea that someone was here, but they're not anymore. And you do not know where they are, or if they're even alive, or if they're even around. That's what I mean, like, the idea of a presence is really scary to me.
I didn't find the Rat Man scary, I found him comforting, because he was like my friend, he left all this stuff behind.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's definitely a valid interpretation. For me, his dens always just kind of creep me out.
And he was warning you as well, he
was.
Gladys is like lying to you.
Really, Gladys should have been more scary. I mean, it is scary for me. I mean,
yeah.
And she was the first time I played it as well because I'd never seen a story like that before.
Yeah.
For some reason, yeah, the atmosphere of the Ratman dens just kind of creeped me out. They play like a music cue in the first one you find, because it's the first time you kind of get an idea that like something very wrong has happened.
Yeah.
All those rooms have like a kind of faint red glow coming out from like the pipes and stuff. Scary, man. I kind of want to do a speedrun of that game, but in the most casual sense, because I know that the speedruns of Portal 1 are fucking insane. 90% of it's spent, like, clipped outside of the fucking world. Valve are really good at having really scary musical cues as well. There's a few in Half-Life and... What? Okay. In Half-Life 2 and in Portal. They're just really fucking eerie and scary, man. There's this song that plays when you see the G-Man on like one small TV, if you see it, and it's just like this really sinister but like otherworldly kind of creeps me out, man. There's a few scary areas in Half-Life 2 as well. Like you go into the sewers and like it feels very claustrophobic, and then you go underwater and you kind of have to pass through this area, and there's just a dead fucking burnt skeleton at the end. You're like, oops, I shouldn't be here.
Never forget the first time you go through Ravenhole.
Oh my god, dude. It's the scariest goddamn experience of my life. Not anymore, but Ravenholm's now my favorite part of the game.
Yep.
I love...
That's the point I was about to make, actually.
Ever since I tried getting the achievement the first time of going through just the gravity gun, now every single run I do is just with the gravity gun because it's just fun.
The first time you go through it and you're just like, yeah, this is fine. And then you get the fast zombies. You're like, I hate this. Valve, why
Yeah.
would you do this? Why would you put this in your game?
They all fucking Wilhelm scream at you.
Yeah, this is just
It's
awful.
just so funny that they have such a clear stock sound effect, and yet there's still like fear up your fucking face.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was saying there. What's your pickle, Mobini?
My car's not fast enough, and the one car that is fast enough, it's got really high bounty, or really high heat. And so I'll get into like huge chases. I really don't want to get into a huge chase like that. I've got one more marker that I can use to get the car out.
What do you need to do then?
Don't know.
Okay.
I gotta spend money. That's what I was doing.
You gotta spend money to make money.
Yeah.
Would you guys be down with playing a legitimate horror game on this channel? And by we, I mean me and you guys.
By
watch.
legitimate, you mean what?
I mean like a game that's actually a horror game, not a game that has horror themes.
Okay. Like.
But what
Resident
game
Evil?
is that?
Yeah, maybe.
Silent Hill.
Oh, yeah, Silent Hill. We could do, I suppose. I find those games really annoying to play.
Then why are you suggesting we do a horror game for you? Like the two I suggested, you're like, oh.
Well, I mean, you know, there's more than just Resident Evil and Silent Hill. Don't you like Resident Evil, Frank? You like Resident Evil 4, don't you?
Yeah, Resident Evil 4 and 5, really.
You like 5? I thought everyone hated that game. Or is it 6 something else?
I think it's 6 that gets most of its negativity. A lot of people dislike 5 because it was just 4 with a little extra put on top, while they were expecting something probably a little bit bigger. But I enjoy
everyone
5
saying
quite
how
a bit.
racist it was. That was a big thing at the time.
I mean, you know,
Yeah.
people go, oh, it's racist, and then other people go, you weren't complaining in 4 when they were just killing Spaniards all day. But, you know,
I don't
the
think
fact that
4
it's
and
in
5 are
Africa
that.
makes a
When
big
6 are like even horror games, really, are they? They're more kind of action games.
Well, 4 is another one of those games that I put on the list, actually. The giant fish boss in the lake, the regenerators, the fucking executioner boss. There was a lot of shit that scared me as a kid.
You know what scares me, Frank?
That there won't ever be another episode
Next
of
time
Need
on the
Speed
show.
Most Wanted.
No, that scares you.
Oh.